Greetings shippers, welcome back, and today it's time to take a look at another pairing. Today we're going to be taking a look at an older pairing, one that rose to prominence alongside the rise of digital fandom. This pairing is still going on at the time of this recording. It hails from an anime fandom, a juggernaut of an anime fandom, that being Dragon Ball Z and beyond. We're going to be looking at the pairing of Vegeta, Prince of Saiyans, and Bulma Briefs of Capsule Corp. This video was voted for by the lovely people over on Patreon who help make these videos possible and keep us on track, and also highlight certain pairings that might not otherwise get their day until much later. And you know how long it takes us to get to certain things on this channel, so that really helps. There's another vote ongoing at the time of this recording. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. We're gonna hop right in so that this video is not as long as the Dragon Ball Z series itself. Let's go. The anime Dragon Ball Z was a sequel to the Dragon Ball anime, which boasted 153 episodes and was based off the manga of the same name. Dragon Ball Z, often abbreviated to DBZ, was based off of the last 325 chapters of the 519 of the Dragon Ball manga, which was created by Akira Toriyama. Dragon Ball Z has also spawned spin-offs of its own, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Super, and numerous movies. In fact, many feel that of all the outings in the Dragon Ball franchise, Dragon Ball Z is the standout and the most culturally relevant. It's certainly spawned the most fan activity, from fics to art to a wide catalog of fan vids, many now purged or deleted. It must be noted that Super is also garnering its fair share of fan activity. The relationships between the characters in this series have come to be examined through a myriad of lenses and come to shape what people think of when they think of these series. That and the amusingly long episode count of the original Dragon Ball Z run, which spanned an impressive 291 episodes. The series was well known for padding or stretching events out. It also added in anime-only characters and plots written by Toriyama himself, at the behest of the showrunners so that they had material to work with, as Toriyama was writing the manga and the anime at the same time, which was also the reason for the padding, as sometimes the anime staff had to wait to see exactly where the plot was going. This resulted in a unique experience, where many of the plots evolved as they went, and out of necessity, and the Vegeta and Bulma romance is a direct result of this. Dragon Ball Z is divided into multiple arcs known as sagas, which can then be even further subdivided into smaller sagas within the larger ones. These do not always bleed directly into one another. Instead, there can be canonical gaps of years in between these sagas. This is a fact that will be relevant later. Originally, Toriyama wanted to end the series after the Frieza saga, but the anime's popularity led to the series continuing in both on-screen and manga format. As a result, new adventures needed to be conceived. At this point, Toriyama came up with the idea for Trunks and the future Trunks and Android sagas, both of which lead up to the well-remembered Cell saga. Trunks, being a Saiyan, needed a father, so Toriyama selected Vegeta, as Goku already had an established backstory, which merely left the question of who would be Trunks' mother. Toriyama chose Bulma, as he said he felt the two had similar base dispositions, and also it would make a good shocking moment for fans when the information was revealed, which it most certainly did. It also catapulted this pairing into the fandom's mindscape, and from the start, there was a huge amount of interest surrounding this pairing, eventually propelling it to be one of the dominant ships of the fandom, a phenomenon not always seen with canon couples. However, there are several unique things about this couple and the way they are handled canonically that went a long way to securing their fandom status. One factor is the how and why they got together. Bulma and Vegeta's relationship in Dragon Ball Z consistently evolves off-screen, most often in the gap between sagas. So while one sees the softening of Bulma towards Vegeta, the Z-Team's former enemy, and vice versa, there is a gap, and suddenly Bulma has a baby, and Vegeta is the father. Another later saga gap sees the two married, and yet their relationship seems still to be tumultuous. A series gap sees them happily married with more children. In short, there is a lot of space left for fans to play in and extrapolate how exactly these two got together, what they like about each other, and what could make them a viable couple, as their relationship evolved along the line of one of fandom's favorite tropes, enemies to lovers, with a twist. Fans have asked Toriyama how exactly Bulma and Vegeta ended up getting together, and while vague, he described it as a hookup, or moment of passion that happened once. This is echoed slightly in canon by Trunks, who cites Bulma's boyfriend Yamcha's constant cheating and the pressures of Vegeta and Bulma living together and his obsessive training to defeat Goku, leading to the two finding stress relief in each other, meaning that the two hadn't exactly sorted their issues out before getting together, and instead had to do so after, something fans found fascinating, as it was in many ways a reversal of the traditional order, particularly in media aimed at a slightly younger demographic. This subversion turned the trope more into lovers to functional to friends, to in love, which made it a great launching point for many shippers, and also imbued the pairing with an innate sexuality that permeated many fics, and in the early days led to many being purged. Since the couple has remained front and center as the years have gone on, fics are still produced, and the more modern internet culture has become much more relaxed and adept at tagging, which allows for a wide array of fics to coexist. On top of this, the couple's interactions would vacillate from seemingly hostile to near tender, and yet on an overall trend of improvement. But most of what Bulma must see in Vegeta was not seen on screen. Again, a gap that fans sought to fill. Vegeta on his own, despite not being one of Toriyama's favorite characters, was going through a significant character arc, from big bad to having to adjust to his role as almost a hero, though he largely remains an anti-hero. Super is changing that somewhat, as Vegeta gets softer still, though there are things that were depicted which aided in the pairing. Despite being abrasive and brutish at times, Vegeta came to establish himself in the minds of most fans as a better husband and father than the series' main hero, Goku, a fact later confirmed by Toriyama years later in 2017. He states, Vegeta, whose pride has been deeply wounded, sought help from Bulma, and little by little, his ruthless personality changed. Nowadays, you certainly might be able to say that. Which brings up another reason this couple has endured. They have continued to grow throughout the years, and those interested are constantly seeking moments of proof of the two's affection for one another, which can keep the couple in stark focus for certain fans, which has helped keep the ship going. And since the days of Dragon Ball Super, these moments have become more frequent. Another factor drawing shippers into these two is that they have a fascinating canon history that is peppered with drama, and moments that seem like they should tear a couple apart, and yet these two stay together, with the aforementioned smaller moments sprinkled throughout, giving fans glimpses and inspiration for more intricate and detailed stories of their own. There are, of course, much deeper moments, such as Vegeta's regret about his actions during the Buu saga. Ultimately, canonically, the couple settles into a happy marriage that is hard-fought, and for many fans, the happy ending these two deserved. One of the common questions often associated with this pairing is, do Vegeta and Bulma actually love each other? Another is, Vegeta and Bulma, I don't get it. So now that we have examined the history, let us dive further into the appeal. Vegeta and Bulma have a very passionate relationship that is marked by loud exchanges and tense moments, but also by contrasting moments of fondness and domesticity, which leads many shippers to believe in an underlying connection and confidence between the two, in that they feel secure to argue with each other with the knowledge that their relationship will remain intact, as it has already weathered so much as it was built so slowly. The two know each other in ways the other characters don't. From the start, the two express that they find the other attractive, long before Trunks was conceived as a concept, yet alone as a child, and Bulma opens her home to Vegeta, which allows her insight into him that no others truly have, an insight he both appreciates and resents. Bulma represents a core struggle for Vegeta, that of his need to excel and the fact that he has found contentment. This makes their relationship unique, as Vegeta's feelings for his family are constantly at war with his rather large ego and pride. Despite this, the two respect each other. While it may not be apparent in all their exchanges, it is so in the amount of control Bulma has over Vegeta, something marveled on by the other characters, as Bulma has more success at getting Vegeta to do what he should than any other character, and has even come to be able to be openly affectionate with him, though he expresses a distaste for that, in public at least, and how Bulma sticks with, supports, and encourages Vegeta to be the very best that he can be. The two also have a very independent relationship, which many fans appreciate. Both Vegeta and Bulma have their own pursuits, and yet come together as well, so it rarely feels like Bulma is being neglected in the same way that Chi-Chi seems to be by Goku. The two also admire each other, particularly for the very fire that others at times find overwhelming, and many simply feel that these two match. There have been many intriguing AUs built upon concepts such as Dark Bulma helping Vegeta rule, or the two setting off to explore the galaxy as a family, along with numerous others, many of which follow a Beauty and the Beast style vibe, as some feel that that is very much what this pairing is akin to. In general, these two tend to have thoughtful fics, and of course some very smutty ones as well, thanks to the pairing's genesis. Fans are to this day still collecting and compiling moments into lists, videos, explanations, and more, and reminding new fans of older incidents, big or small.
Hey, I know! How about we trade mates? Vegeta for Goku! Huh? Vegeta's not as sweet, but he's certainly more dependable. I think it evens out.
An example of the many small moments peppered throughout the series that lend credence to this couple's strength. Newer fans have a bit more obvious fodder to work with, for while foundationally the same, the Vegeta and Bulma of Dragon Ball GT and the more recent Super, which is a canonical spin-off of Dragon Ball Z, while GT is considered to be an aside sequel, but not a true canonical one, because Akira Toriyama was not heavily involved in the process, of a more openly affectionate and understandable relationship, of the couple who may appear to be at each other's throats, but really have each other's backs, and care deeply for one another, even if not everyone else understands why, which many people do not, and the pairing does have its detractors. Some feel this is a fundamentally problematic pairing, and would go so far as to label it abusive. This coming from Vegeta's mannerisms towards Bulma and later Trunks, which some find to be far too aggressive, and at the very least find his treatment of Bulma disrespectful, some stating that a woman of her intelligence and caliber deserves better than a bratty Saiyan prince. Some find his actions unforgivable, such as leaving Bulma alone while she was pregnant with Trunks to go and train, or much later during the Buu saga, killing part of a stadium full of people. In short, some feel that Bulma is not Vegeta's emotional punching bag, and she deserves someone more stable. As highlighted by the killing incident, Vegeta's hero status can at times be in question or in full-on flux, and some find his actions unforgivable, perhaps narratively interesting, but certainly not relationship material. This can, but does not have to tie into the fact that some people prefer the idea of Bulma and Goku, a pairing that has existed since the Dragon Ball days, and which some feel would work better than either canon couple. Abuse is not the label everyone would give to this couple. Some would simply call it unhealthy, and not a good environment to be raising children in, though how children are treated in the Dragon Ball verse is a whole other topic unto itself. As the characters have evolved over time, some have either come to the pairing later or left the pairing due to changes in character progression that makes them no longer appeal to them. Overall, it must be noted that the two characters are closer now, and that Vegeta takes his family much more seriously, and makes sacrifices for them over his training rather than the other way around. Others enjoy different facets of Dragon Ball Z, which has a wider fan base than some may initially anticipate. Others are fans, of course, of different pairings. While multi-shippers of course exist in every fandom, there are certain fans who prefer consciously or subconsciously to stick with their OTPs. A huge rivalship is Vegeta and Goku, or Vegeta and Kakarot, which it also went by, given Vegeta's penchant for calling Goku by his Saiyan name. Though they did not when they were first conceived, both of these pairings now have portmanteau names, that being combination names, a trend which emerged in the late 2000s, and has continued on through the time of this recording. Those combined names are Kakaveg and Vegibul, the latter of which sounds like one of the vegetable puns of which the show is so fond. As mentioned, in the early days, there were some who feared that this pairing was too smutty, as during the rise of the digital transference of Fics and Fandom, there was a fear about the abundance of explicit fics in a youthful fandom. Some feared that this would have a corrupting effect on youth development, the counter to that being that it ignored that many of these fics were written by the aforementioned youth element themselves, and others were using the pairing to explore new concepts they were just becoming aware of, or finding a safe space to dive into the taboo. As mentioned, this is much less of a concern now, though the previous discussion continues on, but it has moved to different fandoms. For some, interest in this pairing has simply waned, and they have moved on from DBZ and its related fandoms, or even from fandom in general, as many of the original fans of this pairing find themselves in their late 20s or early 30s. This is a generalization, as of course this pairing has fans of all ages. However, this tends to be the age of fans who came to the pairing during the show and this pairing's genesis, though it must be noted that not everyone sticks with fandom or the interests of their youth. In general, some find the Dragon Ball franchise to be a bit daunting, largely in part due to its length and at times extremely convoluted plot points. Still, this pairing has retained many fans, even if just in passing, and still draws new fans in who now have a whole rich history to dive back into should they so choose, including a shortened version of Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Z Kai, which took out most of the filler and the non-manga originating content to shorten the series' overall length and make it more manga compliant, bringing the episode count down to 191, which is still a lot of episodes. Production costs were also a factor. If one enters this fandom, they can expect a versatile group of fics, lots of missing scenes and character introspective pieces, lots of PWP, and a smattering of diverse AUs. It's a rich fandom which, while not as active and well past its zenith, is still creating its own fair share of works, though there has been a shift towards focusing on the canon of Super, as can happen with legacy series. However, as DBZ is the powerhouse, it is likely that it will always maintain the majority of the focus. Regardless of where one's canon interest lands, this couple has become established as a relevant pop cultural pairing. Some are surprised when they enter the fandom to see so many works for these two, as there are those who are unaware that one can ship a canon pairing. However, this is of course possible, as just as one can reject a canon ship in favor of a fanon one, so too can a fan embrace an existing canonical ship and seek to explore it further than its source material. Whether one likes, dislikes, or is ambivalent about them, Vegeta and Bulma have carved a space for themselves as a memorable anime couple. Are you a fan of Dragon Ball Z? Do you/did you ship Vegeta and Bulma? Did you get caught up in the great Vegeta Bulma or Goku Chi-Chi Flame Wars back in the day? Answer all of this down below, and you know the drill. Number it if you can. I love a good essay comment. One more for good measure. Who is your favorite canon couple? Doesn't have to be anime, just in general. There, as always, that is too many questions. I can't wait to read your answers. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing shipping with me. I always appreciate it. And special thanks to everyone who voted. There are, of course, as always, more videos coming soon. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. We'll be back soon, but until then, let's get to that outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.